But yeah, that's a good one as well. That is a good one. My God, run if you heard of those. And here are my top 5 red flags for women. Okay. Now, I thought about this really hard because I didn't want to give like a generic answer. I really want to think. So all these red flags, just for disclosure, are really in different stages. Like you've been dating for a while, and some are going to be like when you started talking to them. So it's going to kind of vary depending on the time you've been with this person. Okay. So number 1 is she mocks your interests and passions.
Ooh.
Like if you're into games, video games, and she's just like, those are for kids. What are you doing wasting your time? No, you got to stop that. And yeah, if she just totally dismisses your passions, your hobbies, whatever you do for fun, and just like looks down on you because you're into that, that's a huge red flag. So again, if she's just mocking your passions or interests or doesn't want to be part of them, that's a huge red flag, because again, you don't want to give up what you love when you start dating somebody. You shouldn't have to.
No, you shouldn't. No. You shouldn't. And the fact that somebody is asking you to do that means they don't really care about you. Really, if you think about it, if something brings your person joy, aren't you more likely to say, like, go ahead? Like, I know my husband is a video game player. He loves playing Call of Duty. That's his thing. That's how he unwinds at the end of the day. Why would I take that from him? It's not like he's not doing all of the other things that husband should or a father should. He's stepping up in every way. Now, if he wasn't, then it would just be a conversation of you're not stepping up enough, but it wouldn't be an accusatory, like it's your hobby that's the problem. It would be you that would be the problem, not the hobby or the interest. Right. So I would agree that that's a huge red flag, especially in the beginning, because it's just going to amplify the longer you're with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're going to, well, I don't want to make her upset. So I guess I'll just stop
playing
as much as I like. And then before you know, you're not playing at all. So yeah, don't give up your passions or your interests, whatever they may be. Playing guitar, starting a band, you do you. Don't ever give that up. A woman that truly loves you and loves you for who you are won't ask you to give that up. Nobody should. Just like to your point, nobody would ever ask you to give up hanging out with a certain friend or somebody in your life. If they're separating you from your passions and loved ones, that's a major red flag.
100%.
Number 2 on my list is every weekend has to be an adventure. In other words,
I love this. This again speaks to the princess entitlement, right? Like you should just be like an event planner.
Exactly. Before you know it, you're planning events, you're trying to get schedules, you're trying to book vineyard trips at the winery. You're planning weekend trips to drive her somewhere to go to, I don't know, some castle, some event, some bougie events. It's like every weekend she's giving you hints. She sends you like, hey, I would love to check this out. And it's like very expensive. That is just, you can't keep up with that. It becomes exhausting.
No. Run.
You can't.
And then you wonder, like, why is she with you? Is she with you because you can provide these types of experiences, or is it the person that's with her for these experiences? Right. Then you start to wonder, I talk about this I'm going to get real down and dirty and gross here, but
please do
share a little personal, personal tidbit. The most romantic thing that my husband ever did, and not like romantic in the usual sense, was wipe my ass after I had a C-section. I'm telling you, you want a person who's going to be there for you when shit is not glamorous, when it's not yachts and fancy restaurants and vineyards, on a bike. You want somebody who's there for the down and dirty, right? Like the things that are not fun and difficult and mundane. Like that's really what a partnership is, right? It's just bringing the best out of you in any given situation. And as you evolve together through life. So to me, that's the biggest red flag, is that if you're seeking that constant spontaneity and that constant adventure, it's like you're trying to avoid reality.
Well put. I was trying to kind of formulate my words into a thought, and that's exactly what I wanted to say. Yep.
It's like problematic on the grandest level, the grandest scale.
And those women that I dated that were like that, whenever life did happen, like my dad having a heart attack or, whatever, that one story I've shared many times, No, that's too much drama for me. I don't want to be part of that. I have
can't
enough drama
believe
in my
she
life.
did that. I just can't believe that.
I'll go to your house later after I go out. So again, you're right. They want to detach themselves from reality. They want to always feel good and just pampered and always live the high life, but want to totally avoid, like you said, the real moments in life that matter when you need somebody there for you. That's what life's all about.
100%.
So yeah, 100%.
And that's where the connection and the vulnerability lies too, right? Because it's easy when it's glamorous and superficial, but then when you get real deep, it's much more difficult to navigate.
Well, that's when it matters. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's when it matters. Yeah.
Number 3, this is she doesn't apologize, or her apologies are empty.
Yeah.
One thing I learned.
I'm sorry, but.
Yes. I'm sorry, but I didn't know you were going to be such a sissy and overreact that way. But since you did, I'm sorry that you're such a pussy. All right, God. I've been told that. Many guys have.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we have. Or don't want to admit any fault and just say, I don't feel like I need to apologize. Why? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. I learned, it's funny, if I can just share a quick story. When I was going through marriage counseling, I remember the ex-wife never said she was sorry. She never did, right? And I remember the counselor at the time, this is, oh my God, 2012. She goes, what would an I'm sorry mean to you, Rudy? And I fucking broke down and cried in marriage counseling. I'm like, it would mean the world to me. It would just mean that my feelings are validated, that I'm not crazy, and that she understands how I feel. Because some of the worst things from a guy standpoint, one, we don't know how to verbalize our feelings well. So we kind of need like 1 or 2 takes to get what we really want to say out. And if you're talking to your woman and she's just doing, what? Just doing just nonverbal motions, like totally dismissing you being vulnerable, run. It's only going to get worse.
Agreed. And that goes both ways too. You know, where a woman.
Absolutely.
And I think in for guys, it's usually like they try to come up with solutions instead of just accepting the emotion and supporting the emotion. I think that manifests itself a little bit differently with men and women. But yeah, certainly if a woman is just dismissing how you feel or putting it back on you somehow, big problems. Yeah, and it only gets worse with time. It never gets better.
Can you imagine that, like early on, 6 months in dating, and then with you and I, we've been in long-term relationships, life happens and all these things that happen, how that would just be just a horrible situation for somebody to be in. Oh, yeah. It makes me nauseous.
And people do it all the time.
Yes.
That's the sad reality, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is. So yeah, guys, if you're with a woman, make sure, and again, as Sally said, it does go both ways. You have to say, I'm sorry. The words I am sorry mean, they're powerful. Yeah, and just 100%. Saying it does so much to the person who is hearing that. So again, always be man enough to say, I'm sorry. Number 4. And I want to have a caveat here, but she goes out with her single friends. Now, my love witch, my fiance, she goes out with her friends like once a month, and not because I tell her to, but she's like, she'd rather be with me. We'd rather go out together and drink together. But her friends like, hey, let's go out. She'll go to a bar and she'll have me drop her off. And I stay with them a little bit, and then I go. She'll take an Uber, but everyone deserves their own time, right?
Agreed.
But these are all well-rounded women. You know, I trust them, but I'm talking about the single women who are very destructive, who are always getting wasted and drunk and always in toxic relationships and with drama in their lives. Because when you're in a relationship, you don't want to invite drama in. You want to be very selective with who comes into your house or who you invite in your space. And sometimes we have to. Sometimes for the best of us, we have to disconnect some of our toxic friends because they usually will pull you back in, or like, why are you in a relationship, bro? You're having fun. You're over there doing this. Sometimes they'll bring out the worst in you. But so if your girlfriend is always going out with these types of toxic, always in just doing no good women, that's a big red flag, because again, they can see her happiness, and you'd be surprised how many of your friends aren't really your friends, and they want the best for you, but they don't want you doing better than them. And
I love that. And it's true. It's absolutely true.
And you learn that in life. It's like, you're so disappointed sometimes when you thought you had friends, but then they really aren't. Yeah. So you have to be careful with who you call friend and who you go out with. So that's my take. In other words, I'm not saying she can't go out, but if there's a certain type of person or type of behavior out there that she's going out with, that can lead to problems.
And it also speaks to like that first point, right? Of like, it doesn't always have to be like exciting and
Yes.
you know what I mean, spontaneous every single weekend and always being doing something. It's like, at what point does regular life and, you know, domestic life kind of take over? And, you know, it speaks to maybe maturity level, or maybe just not even maturity level, because that's not fair, but just similar values, right? Like if even that's not aligned, then not a good sign. Not a good sign at all.
I totally, yeah, absolutely. And the last red flag, and it's just as something you hear is who texts you? Because that leads to a lot of problems. That leads to insecurities. That leads to let me see your phone. And I had this is one of my episodes, a couple episodes back, but I totally agree. Like somebody said, you don't deserve privacy if you're in a long-term relationship or marriage. And I totally disagree with that. Privacy is a right that everybody is owed. Now, I didn't say keep secrets, but everybody's entitled to privacy. In other words,
agreed.
My fiance and I, we've never asked each other who texts you, but I've been in relationships that have. And that leads to, well, why are you on your phone all the time? Why you got to take you to the restroom? Like, why do you need your phone in there? What are you doing? That just leads to a bunch of confrontations. And again, there's tons of insecurities, and you do your best to kind of remedy that. Okay, well, I'm not doing anything. Well, let me see your phone. And then it leads to random checks to seeing your phone. And when does it become enough? Like, I'm not doing anything. I've proven to you I'm not talking to anybody. Why do you want to keep seeing it? There's a rooted problem there that stems from maybe unhealed trauma in her past or whatever the case is, or maybe she's cheating. I don't know. In the cases in my past, they all were.
Right? Oh, really? They were the ones that were cheating
with their ex. Yeah. Yeah. And that they were just projecting that on me.
Right.
Isn't that funny? They all wanted that app to share locations and then, have like no locks on our phones. And they were all the ones cheating with their ex. Yeah.
Because they believe if they're doing it, that you must be as well. Right.
Exactly.
That's pretty much what it is. But yeah, for the ones that aren't cheating, it's also an insecurity. It's like a jealousy thing and controlling thing that really terrifies me. Whenever somebody was ever demonstrating that kind of, I would just call it insecurity of like, why you're not telling me something, or I'm feeling some kind of way. Completely huge ick. And in fact, my husband and I, we know each other's passwords for our phones. Like, and then we got to the point where we just started sharing the same one, sharing the same pin, because it made it easier. Because if I needed to grab his phone for whatever reason, or he needed to grab mine for whatever reason, we could. But I also know that he would never go through my phone without asking me, or like he would even ask me. Like he just would never go through my phone, just like I would never go through his phone to look at conversations.
Same here.
And I totally agree that you there needs to be some sort of privacy. Like you need to have privacy with your own friends and that own dynamic. It's important, you know. And it brings me to the next question, because I wonder how you feel about couples who share Facebooks. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like Linda
I can't stand them.
I wonder if it's that kind of situation where it's like, Linda didn't trust Johnny, and right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of them cheated, and they're trying to reconcile their marriage or relationship or something like that, and now they're doing this group thing. I get it, but it's very obvious to the outsider looking in. Like, there's a lot of trust issues there. Hey, to each their own. If they're happy, you do your thing. But I think there has to be some individuality left in you, some identity. You need to have your own identity in a long-term relationship. If not, I think you can suffocate each other and drive each other insane.